Protests are expected before tonight's big game. Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Rochelle Metzger.
And I'm Patricia Ballone. Thank you for joining us. Well, Washington's football team has come under fire nationally for its name. There have been protests when the team played in Green Bay and in Minneapolis earlier this year. Today in Prince George's, a group of civic leaders made up of all ethnic groups called on the team's owner, Dan Snyder, to change the name. CTV's Sonia Srivastava has more.
Well, in just a few hours, Washington's team will be taking the field here at FedEx Field and taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Now, some organizations, local organizations here in Prince George's County, are intensifying their effort and are sending a very, very clear message to Dan Snyder to change the name. And we heard from one local Native American who says that the word is not only discriminatory, but it is hurtful to so many. Jay Nightwolf, a local radio host and a big supporter of the name change, says he wants people to know just how offensive and insulting the word redskin is. Be warned, some of the language is offensive.
It's all about being on the right side of history. That's right. You don't run around calling black folks niggers. You don't run around calling people south of Tejas wetbacks. You don't run around calling Japanese people Japs. You know, if that's not good enough for them, then this word is not good enough for us.
Nightwolf, along with several other Prince George's leaders from a number of civic groups, gathered this morning with FedEx Field in the background to send a strong message to team owner Dan Snyder.
We're telling Dan Snyder, change the name. Every African American, every person on that football team, every player should be saying the same thing.
Snyder has openly said that he has no plans to change the name. In a letter to fans in October, Snyder said, quote, "Washington Redskins is more than a name we have called our football team for over 8 decades. It is a symbol of everything we stand for: strength, courage, pride, and respect. The same values we know guide Native Americans and which are embedded throughout their rich history as the original Americans." We asked some fans about their thoughts. Do you feel the name itself is very offensive?
I do. I believe it is a racial slur. I believe it is. Yeah.
And you think it should be changed?
I do. I don't know why it took them this long to address something like that.
I like the Washington Redskins better because it's okay to have it.
You don't think it's offensive?
No, it's not.
You don't think it's racist?
No.
I would love to see the name remain the same, but I have to be sensitive to folks who may be offended by that name.
The kickoff here is at 8:30 tonight, and there are some unconfirmed rumblings that certain groups are planning to come out here in front of the stadium and protest. In Landover, I'm Sonia Srivastava for CTV News.
And there were a few people who were against changing the name at the press conference, but they refused to talk on camera.
It's been 14 days and thousands of people across the country have gone without food because they want to get a message across to lawmakers. The group Fast for Families is pushing for immigration reform. A tent has been set up on the National Mall as part of the effort. Inside, there were 10 people fasting today. We talked with Reverend Alvin Herring, who says he won't be eating from now until Thanksgiving.
I place my faith in a higher interpretation of the moment. I believe that this is a dynamic moment, that anything could happen. And I remember back in my days in seminary being introduced to a Greek term, kairos. It literally means God stepping into human time. I believe this is a kairos moment. I believe that God can make what looks impossible possible, and that there's every reason to be hopeful that even in this moment, even as we are about to go into the holiday seasons, that something amazing could happen. That is why we're here, that is why we're fasting, and that is why we're praying.
National figures, including NAACP's President Ben Jealous and Congresswoman Donna Edwards, are supporting the cause. Organizers say 3 core fasters will continue the effort until they are medically unable to survive. After months of secret face-to-face talks, the United States and 5 other world powers strike a nuclear deal with Iran. As part of the interim agreement, Tehran agrees to a 6-month pause in its nuclear program in exchange for eased sanctions worth $7 billion. This is the most significant pact between Washington and Tehran in more than 30 years of estrangement. Nonetheless, lawmakers from both parties are skeptical. Maryland Senator Barbara Mikulski says this is a big step, but the U.S. needs to make sure it's a step in the right direction.
We need to make sure that this interim agreement really does freeze the Iranian nuclear program so they don't progress towards making a bomb. Number two, we need to support the diplomatic effort to get to a final solution if, in fact, Iran will go the step and give up their right to enrich. And number three, we have to have the verification.
Critics, doubtful Iran will give up its nuclear ambition, say the agreement doesn't go far enough and are pushing for even harsher punishment in the event that the deal falters.
The Maryland Republican Party held its fall convention this past Saturday. In a speech, House Minority Whip Kathy Shalega of Baltimore County talked about several priorities her party is considering in the upcoming legislative session. House Republicans plan to push for a 10% income tax cut, along with a plan to withdraw from the Common Core Education Initiative. Maryland is one of 45 states, along with the District of Columbia, that have adopted the standards, an initiative that is designed to establish a single set of educational benchmarks.
Maryland and NASA strike a technology transfer deal aimed at boosting the state's appeal to the high-tech industry. Governor Martin O'Malley and NASA representatives signed a memorandum of understanding at the Goddard Space Flight Center today. Technology transfer agreements like this one help turn research discoveries into marketable products. Officials say new product development and new business ventures can also result in new jobs.
There is no progress without jobs. And we understand, as Kennedy understood in his own day, that the new jobs for our new economy are created through innovations and discoveries and the new technologies that come with all of those things.
That's what the hope is, that as we share our portfolio of technologies and we work with industry closer, that new ideas will spawn, and that from those new ideas, new products will be developed, new businesses will grow, and then that helps the economy.
Leaders say the MOU will enable future NASA missions and help ensure Maryland's economic future.